Hello friends, how are you doing? And I hope you really are all having a great and fun time and everything is going smooth and awesome, right? So we will now discuss the CBSE pattern question exercise on the chapter Locomotion and Movement. So we'll start with the 1 mark question and we'll see what we can answer. What are ligaments, right? What are ligaments? So ligaments are the connective tissue that joins the two bones together, right? Ligaments are the connective tissue. Ligaments are the connective tissue that joins the two bones together. Right? So the ligaments of the two bones are the connective tissue that join the two bones together, and hence these are what are the ligaments. We move on to the next question. What are the antagonistic muscles? What are the antagonistic muscles? Antagonistic muscles are those muscles which work, right? Antagonistic muscles are those muscles which work opposite to each other. Right? So antagonistic muscles are those muscles which work opposite to each other, and for example the biceps and the triceps. Why? As they work contrary to each other, right? As they work contrary to each other. Okay, as they work contrary to each other, the biceps and the triceps. We move on to the next question. Name the antagonistic muscle of the biceps. The antagonistic muscle of biceps are the triceps. The antagonistic muscle, okay, the antagonistic muscle of biceps are the triceps. Okay. So the antagonistic muscle of the biceps are the triceps. List any two functions of ribs in our body. Yeah, there are ribs, we already know that there are the true ribs, the floating ribs, the false ribs and all that, right? So we will see their function. The function of ribs in our body, okay, the function of ribs in our body are the thoracic rib cage will protect the heart as well as the lungs, because it forms a cage all around, and that will protect the lungs and the heart. Okay. So, the thoracic rib cage will protect the lungs, right? The thoracic rib cage will protect the lungs and the heart. The thoracic rib cage will protect the lungs and the heart. Secondly, also the thoracic rib cage expands, okay, and the chest, the thoracic rib cage expands, and this increases the thoracic volume, and this increases okay. Also the thoracic rib cage expands, and this increases the thoracic volume, and hence this will help in the process of respiration, in the process of respiration, right. So, the thoracic rib cage expands, and this increases the thoracic volume, and hence this will help in the process of respiration. Name the type of cartilage present between the vertebrae to allow the limited movements. Name the type of cartilage present between the vertebrae to allow the limited movement. The type of cartilage, right? The type of cartilage present between the vertebrae, present between the vertebrae to allow limited movement, is the intervertebral disc, Okay. So, the type of cartilage present between the vertebrae to allow limited movement is called as the intervertebral disc. We move on to the next question. What are the terms used for the plasma membrane and the cytoplasm of the muscle cells? So, the plasma membrane and the cytoplasm of the muscle cell. Now, we all know that the plasma membrane has got a special name of the muscle cell and even the nuclei, okay, everything. For example, okay, when we talk of the muscle cells, right, we say that the plasma membrane here, plasma membrane, right, is called here, is called in muscle cells as what? As sarcolemma, right, is called as sarcolemma. The plasma membrane is called in muscle cells as sarcolemma, sarcolemma. The cytoplasm of the muscle cell is called as the sarcoplasm. Okay? The cytoplasm of muscle cells is called, the cytoplasm of muscle cells is called as sarcoplasm. The endoplasmic reticulum of the muscle cells is called as sarcoplasmic reticulum, right. The endoplasmic reticulum of muscle cells is called as sarcoplasmic reticulum. Okay. The endoplasmic reticulum of muscle cells is called as the sarcoplasmic reticulum. So, what are the terms used for the plasma membrane and cytoplasm of muscle cell? The plasma membrane is called in muscle cells as the sarcolemma. The cytoplasm of the muscle cells is called as the sarcoplasm, and the endoplasmic reticulum of the muscle cells is called as the sarcoplasmic reticulum. Right. What is the function of the pectoral girdle and the pelvic girdle? Pectoral girdle. The pectoral girdle and the pelvic girdle, these two are two girdles, or we can say these two are these are the two ball and socket joint present, one in the shoulder and the other in the hip. So, the pectoral girdle. This also forms the shoulder joint. Okay. So, the pectoral girdle also forms the shoulder joint, where the humerus bone will articulate. Right. This also forms the shoulder joint where the humerus bone will articulate. And what is the function? Thus, the pectoral girdle the pectoral girdle provides support to the upper limbs. Thus, the pectoral girdle will provide support to the upper limbs. Thus, the pectoral girdle will provide support to the upper limbs. Pelvic girdle. This is also called, this also forms the, this also forms the hip joint. This also forms the hip joint. And here the femur bone articulates. The femur bone will articulate. This provides support to the lower limbs. This provides support to the lower limbs. This provides support to the lower limbs. So, this is the function of the pectoral and the pelvic girdle. Discuss the three types of synovial joint. First of all, we will see that synovial joint is a joint where the synovial fluid is present, okay, and there is a movement possibility in this joint. Synovial joint is a joint, right? Synovial joint is a joint where the synovial fluid is present, where the synovial, where the synovial fluid is present. Synovial joint is a joint where the synovial fluid is present, and there will be movement possibility, and there will be movement possibility in this joint. Synovial joint is a joint where the synovial fluid is present and there will be movement possibility in this joint. The three types of synovial joint are number one, first and foremost we will have the ball and socket joint, ball and socket joint, and in this we have the pectoral girdle and the pelvic girdle. Pectoral and pelvic girdle. The pectoral and the pelvic girdle. The second one is the gliding joint, and the third one is the hinge joint. Okay, the hinge joint, which which allows movement only in one direction. This will allow movement in one direction only, that is knee. Okay, that is knee and elbow joint, right. The ball and socket joint, the gliding joint and the hinge joint, this will allow movement in one direction only, that is the knee and the elbow joint. We move on to the next question. Explain any two disorders of the bone. Okay, disorders of the bone. There can be many disorders of the bone. For example, let's state some of the disorders. For example, we will start with the rheumatoid arthritis. Then we can talk of the gouty arthritis. After the rheumatoid arthritis, gouty arthritis, we can talk of the osteoporosis. Osteopetrosis is also one condition. So there are many such conditions we can talk of, but we will try to, okay, let's see what is rheumatoid arthritis. Now what happens here? There will be the presence of the rheumatoid factor. Okay, there will be the presence of rheumatoid factor. Okay, there will be the presence of rheumatoid factor which will be present. Okay, which will be present in the rheumatoid factor, as a result of which there will be inflammation. So there will be the presence of rheumatoid factor, as a result of which there will be inflammation of the joints, right? There will be inflammation of the joints, and hence painful joint condition. Okay, and hence painful joint condition. This is what we are talking when we are talking of the rheumatoid arthritis. Okay, when you're talking about the rheumatoid arthritis. Talking about the gouty arthritis, here there will be accumulation of uric acid crystals. Here there will be accumulation of uric acid crystals. Okay, so here there will be accumulation of the uric acid crystals and hence painful joint condition, and hence painful joint condition. Right? We move on to the next question. What happens to the leg muscle of an athlete who runs a marathon race? Okay? An athlete who runs a marathon race, okay, keeps on running for some time, keeps on running, okay, keeps on running for some time. An athlete who runs a marathon race keeps on running for some time, as a result of which there is accumulation of lactic acid, as a result of which there is accumulation of lactic acid, okay, because no oxidation, hence the athlete will develop cramps, hence the athlete will develop cramps in his body. Now, cramps are the condition where the muscles are in a state of contraction for a longer period of time without relaxation. Okay, so friends, with this we have come to the end of this discussion. For any doubts, you can always get back to me. Go back, revise this, and the time we meet again, a very goodbye from this side. Thank you.